The temperature outside is minus 30 degrees. There is no wall between you and the wind, no furnace, no coat from a store, no map telling you where the warmth is. You have your hands, your tribe, and whatever the land around you is willing to give up. For roughly 100,000 years, this was not a survival scenario. This was just life. The last great ice age, the period scientists call the last glacial maximum, peaked around 20,000 years ago. At its worst, ice sheets nearly 2 miles thick buried most of northern Europe and North America. Sea levels were 400 feet lower than they are today. Entire landscapes that you know as ocean floor were dry, walkable land. And your ancestors were out there, moving, hunting, sleeping, raising children, surviving, not barely surviving, not clinging to existence. They thrived in ways that should humble every single person alive today. So how did they do it? The first thing you have to understand is what the cold actually does to a human body. Expose unprotected skin to minus 20 for an hour and frostbite begins. Push past that and your core temperature drops, your muscles slow, your thinking blurs, your body starts pulling blood away from your fingers and toes and concentrating it around your organs. That's hypothermia, and it kills you quietly. Your ancestors knew this, not in the language of medicine, but in the language of survival, the kind written not in books but in bone and scar tissue. The first solution was clothing, not the crude animal pelts you might picture. What archaeologists have uncovered at Sungir, an Upper Paleolithic site near Vladimir in Russia, dated to roughly 30,000 years ago, shattered that image permanently. Researchers found the burial of a man and two children, and on those bodies, sewn into the grave, were the remnants of a garment system so sophisticated it left archaeologists speechless. More than 13,000 ivory beads, arranged in patterns that can only mean one thing. They were sewn, row by row, into clothing, into fitted trousers, into a tunic, into a hat. These were not skins thrown over shoulders. These were tailored, layered, insulated garments that archaeologists believe could rival the thermal performance of modern Arctic gear. Someone spent hundreds of hours making those clothes. Someone taught someone else to make them. Generations of knowledge passed by hand and voice produced a garment capable of keeping a body alive at minus 30. That is the first lesson. The Ice Age was not survived by the strongest. It was survived by the most skilled. The second solution was shelter, and here's where it gets just as wild. At Ohalo II, a site submerged under the Sea of Galilee in Israel, and dated to around 23,000 years ago, right at the peak of the Ice Age, archaeologists led by researcher Danny Nadell uncovered something extraordinary: brush huts, 6 of them, small oval structures built from twisted branches, each with a central hearth. The site even showed evidence of the oldest known small-scale plant cultivation in the world. People did not simply wander through the cold, they built, they returned to places, they remembered where resources were, season after season. The Store River Valley in Canterbury, England holds tools dating back 440,000 years, made directly on top of glacial gravel, as Dr. James Clark of the University of Cambridge confirmed in research published in Nature Ecology and Evolution. These humans were not retreating from the ice, they were living beside it. River valleys were everything. They provided shelter from wind. They channeled animal migration routes. They guaranteed water that stayed liquid longer than open ground. Your ancestors read the land the way you read a screen, fast, instinctively, and with their life depending on getting it right. The third solution was fire. You already know fire is warm. But what took researchers decades to fully appreciate is what fire did beyond heat. It extended the day, it cooked food, which unlocks more calories from the same amount of meat. It kept predators back. The same ice age that froze your ancestors also produced cave lions, giant hyenas, and woolly mammoths the size of a room. A fire ring at the entrance to a shelter was not just warmth, it was a wall. But fire is also social. Every group of humans gathered around a flame. Anthropologist Polly Wiessner, studying modern hunter-gatherer communities, found that nighttime firelight conversations served a completely different function from daytime talk. Daytime was practical. Where is the food? Who saw what? How do we move? Firelight at night was stories, myths, instructions encoded in narrative. The songs that taught children which plants were poisonous, which animals were dangerous, which valleys flooded in spring. The Ice Age was survived partly because humans told each other stories about how to survive it. Information was survival, and fire is what made large group information sharing possible after dark. The fourth solution, and this is the counterintuitive one, was not what you stored, it was who you knew. Most people assume that Ice Age survival was about hoarding, stockpiling meat, guarding resources, being territorial. The evidence says the opposite. Sungir itself shows it. The genetic analysis of those buried individuals published in Science magazine revealed that the people of Sungir were not closely related. They were not a tight family group. They were from different lineages, deliberately brought together. Trade networks, alliances, gift exchange across hundreds of miles. Archaeologist John Shea of Stony Brook University has pointed out that what gave Homo sapiens the edge over every other species, including the Neanderthals, who were biologically better adapted to cold, was this capacity for extended social networks. The ability to say, I know people 3 valleys over. If this winter breaks us, we can go to them. The Neanderthals were stronger, better insulated. Their barrel chests and short limbs were a masterpiece of cold weather evolution. But around 40,000 years ago, a series of sudden climate swings hit Europe. Cold stretches so fast and so brutal that even cold-adapted bodies could not outlast them. And when resources collapsed, the Neanderthals did not have the social infrastructure to pull from elsewhere. Your ancestors did. Being human was always a team sport. The Ice Age just proved it. Now reconstruct the scene. It is 23,000 years ago. You are somewhere near what is now Israel. Your group has returned to the same valley for the 3rd winter running. The brush huts go up in 2 days. Everyone knows the pattern. Everyone has a task. The fire is lit before the shelters are finished. Children are put near it immediately. Tonight, after the hunters come back empty-handed for the 2nd day in a row, the elder sits by the fire and tells the story of the winter 3 generations back, when the mammoths moved south and your people followed them for 40 days. The children are listening, not because they are told to, because the story is the instruction. Your clothes are layered, a base of softer hide next to skin, a heavier outer layer with fur facing out. Your hands are wrapped, your feet are insulated with dry grass packed inside a shaped boot. Every piece of this was made by someone in your group. Every piece represents knowledge that took generations to develop. You are not surviving despite the Ice Age. You are living inside it. Here is the twist that changes everything. For decades, scientists assumed that modern humans rode out the last glacial maximum by retreating south into warmer refugia in Spain, the Balkans, the Middle East, and then re-expanding when temperatures rose. But a landmark genetic study published in The Conversation by an international research team found that at least some humans stayed in Central Europe the entire time, unlike virtually every other mammal species. Red foxes retreated, roe deer retreated, your ancestors stayed. Not because they were reckless, because they had built something no other animal had. A system, clothing, shelter, fire, networks, and the knowledge to use all 4, stored not in genetics but in culture, in story, in the hands of the person who taught you to sow. Agriculture is often called the invention that made us human, but the Ice Age says otherwise. The people who sat by those fires at Sungir, who built those huts at Ohalo II, who left tools in the frozen gravel of Canterbury, they were already fully, completely human. Curious, creative, connected to each other across distances that would terrify most modern people. The cold did not make them. It just revealed what they already were. You woke up this morning in a heated room, in clothes made by machines, in a city fed by a supply chain that stretches around the planet. Every single layer of that comfort is borrowed, built on the intelligence of people who had nothing but their minds, their hands, and each other. The temperature outside right now does not matter because 30,000 years ago, someone already solved it, and they passed that solution to you through the longest chain of human hands in history. You were always going to be okay. You were built for this.